What's up, everybody? It's Kevin here from Happy Beard Games, and we are returning with some more Batman Returns video games. Yes, not just Batman games, but Batman Returns video games based on the movie, which is my personal favorite Batman movie, and probably the one that I've seen the most. So now let's check out the Batman Returns video game for the NES based upon the Batman Returns movie, and for the very last time on my channel, for what I can foresee, I'm going to be wearing my original Batman costume the way it is currently. I will be editing it in the future and customizing it further to make it look like the Batman the video game costume color palette. This looks like a job for Batman. You've got a messy game, you've got to clean it. What you do is you take a couple Q-tips or cotton swab sticks, and you douse them in your cleaning solution, which I've already done. So now I'm going to take this bat cleaning solution, rub it on my bat Q-tip, my bat tip, and I'm going to swab the inside of the NES cart back and forth in a forward to backward motion, both sides of the connectors, and you can see all this gunk on there on the tip of the Q-tip. We don't like that. And then we take our second one and we do it again for good measure. If it's wet enough and slick enough and the cotton is not rubbing off onto the connector, you can also try sliding it back and forth, and it produces some dust onto the Q-tip that was already on the game. When you clean it, of course, the dust gets in the way of the connection, so when you clean it, it works better and it'll run, because this game's not running. So now that your video game is nice, clean, and dry, it should be able to run perfectly on your NES. Give it a few tries and works much better than blowing on it, I'll give you that much. Start or password? We're gonna hit start. There's a brief cutscene, but we'll skip it. It basically summarizes the introduction and plot of the movie. Sets up the stage 1-1, Gotham Plaza, City Plaza Street. Now, as you can see, this is a speed 'em up, but you do have the free range to move up and down on the field. Not just side-scrolling purely, but it is a side-scroller. Now, there's a couple things that I want to show you real quick. One of them is the combo. It's just a quick, simple punch, uppercut combo. But the interesting thing is if you hold down the button longer, you'll do like a more, I don't know if it's stronger or does more damage, but it's like a harder punch. You can see the animation's longer. But if you tap it, it goes faster and you can do a combo. You also have the A button to jump. You've got select button to switch between Batarang, which you've got 5 of them, so you have a limited use of that. You've also got the shot, which in Castlevania style, because it's a Konami game, you have the up and attack is your weapon, your sub-weapon. And there isn't very many buttons on the NES, of course, so it has to be up and B. So we got that selected, or you can select no use, which is kind of weird. Does that do anything? No, it doesn't. Not at all. Not even an attack. Now there's one other attack that you can do, which I do not like, and I don't like when video games do this. I wish I had a power meter or a magic meter or something like that. If you push B and A together, you do a cape web attack. It's probably strong and saves you in a nick of time, but it takes some of your health away, and I don't like that on video games. That's a bad thing to do, Konami. So here's the first enemies, similar to the NES or the Super NES version. They are clown enemies at the start. Very similar premise, but a little different. I got some health. It's kind of odd that you don't start out with full HP. Sort of like an arcade style thing. I think Battletoads did that on NES as well. That was not Konami though. So it's kind of you can see the resemblance to the NES first Batman, the video game by Sunsoft, with the backgrounds. Of course, Batman's blue in this, not black, and not purple. Interesting. He kind of looks more like animated series Batman. mixed with a blue color instead. And you can tell that even though it's NES, and they tried hard to make it pretty realistic, as much as possible to the movie, but it is a little bit cartoony with the effects. What you see when you attack them and they get knocked back, it's a really unrealistic and very cartoony, really fast knockback for those guys. It's kind of weird. It's almost weird for an NES game to be like that too. I'm not gonna go in that door. It kind of looks like you could go into it at some point, but you can't. There's some bigger clown enemies. This is actually pretty easy so far. I remember playing this only one time before, and it was not very much fun for me, but I think I can kind of enjoy it a little bit more now that I've played the SNES version, because Super Nintendo is a console that I like a little bit more. I grew up with it more, and it kind of like helps you get into this. It's just a little bit of a, feels like a demake almost. They came out at the same time, so it's not really a remake or anything. It's just a game on a different system, and it's not even really a port. It's just like its own thing. See, nowadays you have games that are like their Xbox One, their PS4, their Nintendo Switch, and depending on the quality of the console and the specs, you've got the same game essentially, like Doom for example. You got the same game on all three consoles, and then there's the Xbox One X, I don't know what it's called, and the PS4 Pro, I think. So there's like upgraded versions of those, and then PC you can do them all. But back in the day, there'd be like 4 different versions of the video game. I don't know about this one in particular. I know it's on the Sega Genesis. Oh, you can attack with the hook shot there. That's cool. But I know this is on Sega Genesis as well, which is a completely different game. I know it's on Super Nintendo because we played it, and that's a completely different game. Like, the whole game is similar, and it's based on the same movie, I mean, but, and they're kind of considered the same release. But what the heck, how do I get this guy? I'm battering him. I can. I can't even catch up to this guy. But I want to take this guy down first before I continue my train of thought. How do I do this? Okay, jump and attack. You can also do a slide, I didn't know about that. Okay, this is gonna kill me, I don't know what to do. I feel like a goofball. Oh, there we go. Got him. Still gotta hit him one more time. Or maybe one more. Come on, Batman. Oh my god, I've never made this far in the game. I know it's not very far at all, but I guess I didn't give it a fair chance up before. So I don't remember this at all. This is kind of frustrating, guys. There we go. Stay off that bike. I don't want to fight that guy ever again. And there's going to be a whole bunch more, I'm assuming. It's very repetitive. But like I was saying, they used to make the same game, essentially, for the same time release. If they made, like, multiple versions of the game. You kind of saw this in the Wii generation. They would make Wii makes, or, like, Wii versions of other games that were completely different. Like, Dead Space was exclusive to Wii for a little while, or, like, House of the Dead Overkill. But back in the day, when they had this game, there was the NES, the Super Nintendo, and then sometimes there'd be a Game Boy version. This is like licensed movie games. And there used to be a Sega Genesis version as well. And sometimes there'd be, maybe even another console that would go with it, like the Game Gear, Sega Game Gear. For this game, I'm not sure if it was on the Game Boy or the Game Gear. I know it was on Genesis. Alright, we beat the first stage. Now we're on stage 1-2, and we got a Christmassy, snowy stage now. And unlike the Super Nintendo one... Oh, this is a boss fight. Okay, whoa. Behind more battering, so I was checking. It's tough. I don't know if I have lives or what. But unlike the Super Nintendo version, you just jump right into a boss fight. I guess there's no second stage where it's strictly platforming. Game over. Oh no. The Dark Knight. We got a high score, or we got a score where the high score is double what I got, pretty much. We got a password, and there is a continue. But we have to continue from stage 1-1. I might skip ahead, guys. I might skip ahead to the boss fight. But if there's anything interesting, I'll leave it in for this part. But we'll keep the first level intact. So I think I can cruise through this pretty fast here. If it's possible. I don't know why that boss was so hard. It was like I couldn't punch him because he knocked me back instantly, it seemed. I mean, I know there's a way to defeat him, but that was hard. And, I didn't have any batarangs, so I'm gonna try to save those for that guy now that I know the batarangs don't work on the motorcycle dude. And we might have some more HP this time, because we got beat up pretty bad by that guy on the bike. Which I think I can figure out now, because you gotta jump attack him. I gotta start using my jump attack a little bit more. But maybe not on the boss. I tried using it on the boss because I thought it would be a good tactic. It didn't help me that much, so I don't know. I'll just try a couple different things on that, including the batarang. These tall clowns, take them down. Now notice that, sort of like a Castlevania fashion, but it does it for every enemy. It shows the enemy's hit points on the bottom of the screen, which is really cool. I like being able to see how much health the enemy has in comparison to your own. Usually it's a little bit less, some games it's a lot more, and the boss fights usually seem to be, in most video games, they have more health than you do. Well guys, it looks like my game cart is still a little dirty. We might take one more cleaning, but we'll do that on a later playthrough on my own time. That was it for Batman Returns on the Nintendo NES. I didn't do so good. I did a lot better on the Super Nintendo version. Sometimes with these games, like I said, with multiple ports, or multiple versions at the same time, different consoles, once again, thinking of that, the Super Nintendo versions usually seem to be a little bit easier. Sometimes the Sega Genesis versions as well are a little bit easier than the NES version. I don't know why that is. It's kind of like NES games in general are a little bit harder than Super Nintendo games if you really think about it, but not by too much, not by today's standards either. But maybe if a little bit. It always seemed like NES was a harder console than the SNES. They made the games a little bit easier. But that was Batman Returns. I have a better opinion of the game now. I still want to keep playing it. It's really tough. And I thought Batman, the video game 1, was really tough too, but I beat that. So, with a little bit of time and a little bit of practice and patience, I might be able to beat this. But I think I'll play the Super Nintendo version first. That one appealed to me more even now. But yeah, really cool game. I definitely recommend this if you're a Batman fan. This is a good one. Stay away from Batman Forever. Batman Returns is good on SNES and NES in my opinion. And Batman the video game on NES is great. Batman Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, which I played Asylum more, is great. Injustice is great. Those are about the only Batman games I know, really. Yeah, that's it. Alright guys, thanks for watching Happy Bird Games with Batman. And if you want to get nuts, stay tuned to Happy Bird Games at the same bat channel, the same bat time. Alright guys, thanks for watching once again. Bye.